Hello friends, welcome to HTML tutorials series. In this tutorial, we are going to work out an exercise. Right click, open with the WordPad. Here I have a WordPad. Somebody asked me to convert this WordPad to web page. What is the process I am going to follow and how we are going to create the same in web page? Let's see that. First thing, I am going to create an HTML page, right? So I go here, say run, I type notepad. Here we have a notepad. Let's create an HTML page. HTML, opening brace, closing HTML. We know that HTML is divided into two sections, head section, similarly a body section, opening body tag, and a closing body tag. We know that in the head section we are going to write the title tag, closing title title. I'm going to save this file, save as. We are going to save it at desktop. So I say here desktop desktop. At desktop I'm going to save this file with the name as exercise exercise1.html, double quotation I use both the sides to save it as a web page. So here I have exercise 1 HTML page. I double click and open it in Firefox. You can see that it has got opened. First thing, if you see here, introduction to science is the heading for this whole web page. I am going to use this name, introduction to science, for the title of the page. You can see here the title of the page is the path of the web page. So I am going to change that by putting here introduction to science, title, introduction to science. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that the title got changed to introduction to science. Good. Next thing is to create the web page itself. To create this web page, I am going to copy this complete content from here, put it in body section. We know that whatever we put in the body section, that is going to be displayed in the web page. Now we have this content. You can see that introduction to science, introduction to physics. We have pasted the content. Let me go to file, save, go to browser and refresh. This is how it looks. And our output should be something like this. To create output something like this, what we are going to do, we are going to use our HTML knowledge, whatever we have learned till now. If you observe this introduction to science, it is of kind of a heading, right? So what I need to do, I am going to use the h1 tag just before the I. Here I am going to say h1 tag, and here I am going to say closing h1 tag. Now we know that h1 tag is a block level tag, so it takes the entire browser width and it moves the content, anything which is in front of it, to the next line. So file, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that it has moved all the content to the down and introduction to science is in the separate line. If you observe here in this document, introduction to science is in the center of the document. So I need to align this text to the center of the web page. What I have to do here, I am going to use the align attribute. So h1 after 1 before the greater than sign, I am going to use the align attribute and I assign the value center to it. File, save, go to browser, refresh, check that introduction to science is now displayed in the center of the web page. Good. Next, what we need? Next, we have here three different headings in the document. Introduction to physics is one heading for this paragraph. This is another heading. This is another heading. So for this, I am going to use maybe h3 tag suits, h3. So what I do here, just before this introduction to physics, here I am going to write h3 tag, opening h3 tag. Then here I am going to write closing h3 tag. We know that h3 tag is a block level tag. It moves all the content after the introduction physics to the next line and it takes the entire width of the browser window. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Check that out. Introduction to physics is on its own line. Next thing, what I need, I have a paragraph here. This is a paragraph. So I need to use a paragraph tag. Just before the P, I am going to use the paragraph tag P tag, that is a opening P tag, and after this physics system I am going to use a closing P tag. We know that the paragraph tag is also a block level tag, so whatever there after this paragraph, the all content is moved to the next line and a small space is added below the paragraph and above the paragraph. We know that. So file, save, go to browser, refresh, check that out. Now this is an independent paragraph. Now what I have to do? I have to apply the H3 tag to introduction to chemistry, right? Because it should be at the same level of introduction to physics. So here what I do, I add H3 tag, opening H3 tag. After the chemistry colon, I am going to close H3 tag. We know that H3 tag is a block level tag. Whatever the content we have after the introduction to chemistry colon is going to be moved to the next line. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that I got the introduction to chemistry on the next line, right? On its own line. Similarly, this chemistry information is a paragraph, so I am going to use a P tag over here, and after this oxygen I am going to say closing P tag. We know that the P tag is a block level tag. Whatever the content we have after the oxygen full stop is going to be moved to the next line. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that the content moved to the next line and we have one space also between the paragraphs, right? Now to this introduction to biology, I am going to give H3 tag, and after this I am going to use a closing H3 tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. I got this. Similarly, before this biology, I am going to say opening a P tag, and at the end I am going to say closing P tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. If you observe here, we got the introduction to physics, introduction to chemistry, everything we got properly. If you observe carefully, all these paragraphs are justified. Can you see these things? On both the sides, left hand side and right hand side are aligned properly. So I have to use align attribute with respect to paragraph, ALIGN, align equal to JUSTIFY, justify. File, save. Observe here, you won't find this zigzagness. Refresh, right? Both the sides are aligned properly. Good. Same thing I have to do for this paragraph and this paragraph. So I copy this align justify to this paragraph. Similarly, I paste here also. File, save, go to browser, refresh. So now we have got properly the paragraphs aligned, right? Next thing is to align the first paragraph or format the first paragraph properly. To format the first paragraph, I am going to observe what are the modifications are there. Physics is displayed in bold. You can see that it is displayed in bold. So what I have to do, I am going to use just before this P tag, I am going to use a B tag, opening B tag, and here I am going to use closing B tag. File, save. This physics content is displayed in bold. Refresh. You can see that the physics got displayed in bold. Similarly, chemistry is in bold, biology is in bold. So I have to apply the same rule here. For this chemistry, I am going to write opening B tag. After the chemistry, I am going to write closing B tag. Similarly, just before the B, I am going to write here opening B tag. After the Y, here I am going to write closing B tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh, check that out. Physics, chemistry, biology text are now in bold. Next we observe step by step. If you see here, study of matter and its motions through space and time is actually in italic format. Here study of composition, structure up to the matter is in italic format. Life, study of life to taxonomy is in italic format. So I have to apply the italic, right? So just before this S, I am going to use opening I tag. Up to this time, I need closing I tag. So from here to here, the content is displayed in italic. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Check that out. Study of matter and its motions through space and time is now in italic. Similarly, next is study of composition, structure and properties of matter are in italic. So same thing I do here. Just before this S, I am going to write opening I tag up to this matter. After the matter full stop, I am going to close the I tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh is in italic format. Similarly here, I have to change from here to italic. So here, just before this S, I am going to write opening I tag. After this taxonomy full stop, before the closing P tag, I am going to write closing I tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that this content is displayed in italic format. Next we proceed further and see any modifications. Here you can see matter, motion, space, time are actually italic as well as underlined. If you see here, already we have made this content italic. All I need is, I need to change these things to underline. So just before this MATTER, I am going to write here U tag. After the R, I am going to write closing U tag. Save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that the matter got displayed underlined. Similarly, for motion, just before M, I am going to use opening U tag. After this N, I am going to write closing U tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Motion got underlined. Similarly, space and time we have here. Where is the space? Here is the space. Just before the S, I am going to write opening U tag. After the E, I am going to write closing U tag. Similarly, just before the T, I am going to write opening U tag. After the E, I am going to write closing U tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that the space, time, all these things are underlined as well as italic. Similarly, here composition, structure, properties, matter should be in underline. You can see that composition, structure, properties, matter. So what I do here, I go to chemistry section. Here we have composition. There just before C, I am going to use the U tag. After the N, I am going to write closing U tag. Just before the S, I am going to write opening U tag. After the E, I am going to write closing U tag. Before the P, I am going to write opening U tag. After the S, I am going to write closing U tag. And before the matter, I am going to write opening U tag. After the matter, I am going to close the U tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Check that they are underlined. Similarly, here we have life, living organisms, structure, evolution, identification, taxonomy should be underlined. What I have to do now? I have to go to the biology section. There, just before the L, I am going to write opening U tag. After the E, I am going to write a closing U tag. Just before this living organisms, I am going to write opening U tag. After the S, I am going to write closing U tag. Then here, before the S, I am going to write opening U tag. After the E, I am going to write closing U tag. Before the E, I am going to write opening U tag. After the N, I am going to write closing U tag. Before the I am going to write here opening U tag. After the N, I am going to write a closing U tag. Before the T, I am going to write opening U tag. After the Y, I am going to write a closing U tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh, check that everything we have arranged properly. Let's proceed further. Here we have E is equal to MC square, E is equal to MC square H2O written in red color. So to do that, I have to use the font tag, right? Let's proceed further. Here we have E is equal to MC square. There, I am going to use opening font tag just before the E. After the 2, I am going to write closing font tag. Then I give a color attribute. Color equals to red. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that E is equal to MC square displayed in the red color. Same way, here just before the E, I am going to write this font color red. After the 2, I am going to close the font tag. So copy that and paste here. File, save, go to browser, refresh. This is also displayed in a red color. Now I have to display H2O in red color. So just before the H, I am going to paste font color red. I copy that, paste it here. After the O, I have to close the font tag. So I copy that and paste here. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that H2O got displayed in red color. Next, what we have in this one, if we observe carefully, this 2 is superscripted. This 2 is superscripted. If you observe here, our 2 is on the same base. So I have to shift the base up. To move the 2 up, I have to use a superscript tag. What I do, here I have a 2, so I have to move it up. Just before the 2, I am going to write opening SUP superscript. After the 2, I am going to close SUP. Before the closing font tag, I close the super tag. File, save and refresh. You can see that 2 is superscripted. Same thing I have to do for this 2 also. Here, before the 2, I use SUP opening superscript tag. After the 2, I am going to close the superscript tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Right. Also you can see 2 base is shifted down. So I have to subscript. To subscript, I have to go here. I have to subscript this 2. So before the 2, I am going to write SUB subscript. After the 2, before the O, I am going to close the sub tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. You can see that H2O got displayed properly. Anything else we have? I think we have properly made it, right? You can see that left hand side and right hand side are same. Every formatting we have applied, every alignment we have applied. I think everything is correct. Only one thing I need to observe here is the font. The font is of type Arial. And here the font by default is a Times New Roman, right? So I need to change the font to Arial. To do that, I have to apply the font tag for complete content. So just before or just after the body tag, I am going to write font. Then I say here face is going to be ARIAL, Arial, right? I have opening font tag with the attribute, and I have to close everything up to here. Just before the closing body tag, I am going to write closing font tag. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Check that out. The text is displayed in Arial. This is how you can convert a normal Word document to a web page. Understanding, friends? Similarly, you can see that the content that we have here, they are all more darker. We can reduce the color if we want. We can reduce the color for these. Also font size also we can reduce, right? So the paragraph that we have here, let's go to paragraphs that we have. Here we have the paragraph for physics. Just before this, I am going to write font SIZE size. Maybe I give 3, and I also give the color SOL color to hash 80 80 80. I am going to close the font tag just before the closing P tag. Okay, and where is that? We have that over here, and here I am going to close the font tag, closing font tag. Same thing I have to apply for all. File, save, go to browser and refresh. Check that out. The font is little bit different now, right? And here I made a mistake. Here I need double quotation. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Now you can see that the content is different in a gray color. Little bit light gray color we have, right? Same thing I can apply for these two also. I can copy this font from here, copy that, and paste it for the chemistry here after the paragraph, opening paragraph tag, and before the closing paragraph tag I have to close the font, font font. Same thing I have to do for biology. After this paragraph here I am going to paste the font size is 3 and color we have applied, and just before the closing paragraph I am going to write closing font. File, save, go to browser, refresh. Check this out. This looks more better than the previous text, right? So this is how you can convert a normal Word document to a web page and modify according to your requirement, give a best style so that the user can be able to read your content. For this tutorial, this much is enough, friends. In the next tutorial, we get more information on HTML. Thank you guys. Thank you very much. For more benefits, please subscribe, like, comment and share. See you in the next tutorial.